We have been learning how to draw word lines and drawing line from observation. Line is a very important visual language. The next step, we're going to learn how to draw with shapes. Shape is the way that we organize into groups. I want to respond to a comment from our patron friends. She asked me, should we sharpen the branding stump? Seems like it's not clean, it looks a little bit dirty. You don't really need to. If you really want it to be clean, and you can use the paper towel and keep blending on the clean paper towel, and it would get rid of most of it. So don't need to worry about that. You need to use a knife to sharpen it or use a special sharpener to sharpen it. In fact, actually I want this, I have a little bit charcoal powder so I can use it as my first step of my drawing. And now what I want to do, I just want to get a small block of chalk. I'm going to tap on it. What I want to do, actually I'm going to get some charcoal onto my blending stump. And what I want to do, first I'm going to put some mark, put some line on the paper. So I want it to be light so I can change it easier. I know use the charcoal is a little bit more difficult to erase than the graphite. So I want to see that what those shapes look like. And I want to include the cast shadow part of it. I'm not going to use the entire cast shadow. Probably around here, and this is about the top. Now next, what I'm going to do, I want to do some measurement. Let's take a look. And now I'm staring at it, or you can use a pencil to find the proportion. The width is about 2/3 of the whole length of the height. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut it down to 3 exact same proportion. So this 2, there will be the width. Yeah, it's about right. It's about from here, coming down, like that. And because I'm looking a little bit more from up to down, so the top a little bit bigger than the bottom. So the line is coming down a little bit, tip it down here. Okay, so now I just got the right proportion. And the top over here a little bit more than 1/3 from my measurement. So I'm gonna get it down a little bit here, like that. And what about the middle ring? And it's a little bit more than 1/3. If I make it 1/3, I make it a little bigger, and then I want to compare to it, making sure it's matched to how you feel the size compared to the whole width on the top over here, like that. So from now on, we want to think as shapes. We already done the contour line drawing the line, find out the line. And if you haven't done that exercise, I suggest you to go back to find the older lesson and learn how to draw the line. Because you need to know how to draw the line from observation in order to find the shape, because shape is defined by the line. Like say this is the shape and it's a triangle. I need to find the angle of this line, the angle of this line, and the angle on this line. So include the 2D angle. After you find those 3 angles and the measurement, between those sides so that it become a shape over here. And on this side, it also has another shape over here. And actually what you can see, there is a light shape. You can see that this is a triangle light shape. This is an oval shape. And this side, a little darker shape. So one thing is the next level up, as after we know how to draw the line, we want to draw the shape. Shape is the way that we organize our visual language. Okay. Now I already done the rough drawing. I think this tip, the corner of this triangle, is a little bit lower than the bottom of the tissue roll. Okay, about this kind of relationship. Okay, this is good. I'm gonna give it a little bit more definition here. It's good. Now you can see the blending stump can be a drawing too. It's not just blended. It actually draw for us. What's the next step we're gonna do? We want to set the middle tone, and then we're gonna set up the value for each of the shape. And then we're gonna talk about edge and how the edge would help us to create the main object, or say the focal point. And use the block of compressed charcoal. It's just very dark and very very difficult to change. So the first step I'm gonna use the wine charcoal or the willow charcoal. I have a piece of wine charcoal over here. Wine charcoal is very easy to change. What I want to do, I want to make the whole area, set the middle tone first. And then I'm going to blend it. How I'm going to blend it? Use a blending stump, maybe a little too small for this large area. I'm just going to use a paper towel to blend it. Now we have some foundations for the middle tone. You may be thinking about, wait, you just ruined the white space. No, we'll be fine. Next, what we're gonna do, I want to set the darker tone, darker shape first before I go into to take out for the lighter shape. What I want to do, I want to use a soft charcoal pencil. I'm going to use this piece. And the top over here, this oval, you can look a piece at a time to draw the outline. And then on this side, it has a triangle. Use soft, light pressure. Look at the angle of this tilted line. It's about here. Okay. Softly. Just get the outline back on. Okay, here you go. That's the bottom. You can see if you connect that, it would look like that. It's a reflection of the right side. And this is a shape You can see there's a dark shape on this side, or you can say there is a light shape over here. You can draw either side. Okay, and the top, here you go. This is a smaller oval at the top here. And I can draw the darker shape, like a half and half. This is the darker shape, this is the lighter shape. Okay. And about a little bit less than half from here down is starting, so you can focus on looking at this line, and a little bit lower than the bottom, the corner over here. And then I'm going to draw this. That's the catch the shadow on this side. Now I can see this can be a little bit higher from here. Here you go. And this corner a little bit lower, like this. You can see it's how important that you will be able to find the line for the contour. So if you haven't done enough for the contour line drawing exercise, go back to the previous drawing lessons. Okay, next is what I like to do. I'm going to just use this charcoal pencil. I'm just going to apply the darker value. I'm not looking into inside this shape, the small details yet. I just want to set the value into this shape. And I want to set the value into this shape. And maybe easier to draw this way. This shape is a little bit lighter than that. It actually is continuous shape. It's a continuous, you can see that it belongs to the same family. This is all in the shadow. As actually, matter of fact, it's a catch the shadow cast by this triangle shape. And then continue through the shadow side of this is all because of the absence of light. And now in here, I want to apply a little bit darker. You don't have to make it very dark now, because after you blend it, it may become too dark. And I apply. First, the whole thing needs to be a little bit darker because this is not white. And then I make this half of the oval to be a little bit darker. Okay, now come to the background. The background can be at about this value. Like that. It is very important to be able to easily group the content together, make them belong to one area compared to another area. This is called shapes. Shapes as another visual language. Okay, what next I'm going to do, first I'm going to use this paper towel. I'm going to roughly do a little blending on the top over here, blend a little bit up here, blend a little bit. That's for the background and the top oval. And over here, I blend it, make it a little bit softer. Otherwise, the texture is too pronounced. You might not want that kind of rough texture. But sometimes we do. When you need it, just a little bit. Now this step is similar when we are doing watercolor painting, that we are just apply the different color, put all the color on the paper before we're doing adjustments. And the next step in this charcoal drawing is similar to our next step in the watercolor painting. We're going to do organize. Okay, our next step, we're going to lift up. In the watercolor, we are wash and lifting. So first thing, I'm gonna softly get rid of some from the top oval. Return a little bit lighter, or you can say clean it up a little bit. But eraser is actually the way that we draw a lighter shape. Here a little bit lighter. And then we're going to talk about the value contrast. Over here is very light, so I'm going to clean this up, make this triangle a little bit lighter. Now you can see we lift up and make the shape a little bit lighter, the lighter shape. And all the medium, they're very similar when you're looking at one technique compared to another technique. It's just because the medium is different, but your way to looking at things and the way that you think is very similar. Okay, this could be a little bit lighter. Just give it a little bit contrast between the two shapes. Okay, now we come to this triangle. Now I just draw with my nitty eraser. You need to keep stretching it so that it renew the ability to take up the charcoal powder. Okay, now here we go. Now we draw this lighter shape. Looks very much flat. Like that. But down here it has too much contrast. So what I like to do, I'm going to draw from inside of this triangle and through the outline to going out. I want to make this a little bit lighter. Okay. We're going to soften the contrast. But up here, I want to have a little bit clear. So I'm using this blending stone. It's a smoother charcoal. Move it a little bit. And this area has a little, slightly a little more than the area down there. So, okay, I'm going to clean up the edge to make it a little bit more contrast, get a little bit more attention. That's good. So little changes, it actually create a difference. Now you can see, compare this area to the bottom over here, it actually has a little bit more attention. Now this is good. I'm gonna, the bottom over here on the table, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. Now, the whole drawing now, it looks in a good shape. And I'm gonna come here to clean up a little bit. So you have to first looking at the big area between this shape and this shape and this shape. First looking at the bigger area first before we go into the smaller area. Okay, this is good. I'm going to use the blender to come in here. Also give a little more, make it a little bit smoother. This is good. Now we're gonna go into the next step to get into the smaller content. Okay, this is shape. Between that shape and this is a little bit darker, I have some transitions. But this side of the shape is actually darker than the left side. And also, I need to make a little bit more contrast between this area and that area. Then we talk about the edge now. Now, if we are going to make this edge a little bit clear, a little bit stronger, and actually create the illusion that it has distance between here and there. Now I come here, look at this area. This is not as dark as inside over here. Okay, just a little bit clarification. Okay, I don't want to make it as dark as inside over there, but all the way come down to the bottom over here. Now we see a little contrast. Actually here, add a little bit charcoal powder, and then we're going to use the blender to help us to describe it. And in here, because of the dark and have some reflected light from here up to this area, so at the bottom over here actually also a little bit soft transition from dark turn to that value. Okay, like that. And the edge between here, from this side and that side, is kind of pretty soft. But you can, if you need to, you can actually make it a little bit more pronounced, a little bit clear, but depends how much attention that you want the people give it to their area. I decided to keep a little soft. Yeah, just like that. It's good enough. Okay. Now I come to this transition. This transition, I'm going to have a couple of, I can see that couple of the small cross contour line from here to there. But I don't want it to be so light, so I'm going to use the tower, the paper towel, and soften here. Have some transition. Like that. That's good. And now we can give a little texture. Not just yet. It's just give a little bit. But I don't want to give it too much at this stage. We'll come back. I'm going to use this blending stone to draw a little light value over here. Now we come to this area. This area definitely a little bit too dark. So what I want to do, I'm going to just take up some of the value from the shape over here. So give it some illusion that starting a little light and gradually turn into a little bit darker and darker over here, because the paper is very thin and some light actually can shine through. So I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. Just keep thinking about that shape. Shape has some property. Shape has outline, where the outline is, how the outline's angle. Shape has value. How dark is the shape? And also between shapes has value contrast. Okay. Now this is much better. Start from a little lighter and merge into this value. Now clean up a little bit, like that. And maybe in here, give it a little bit lighter too, a little bit, so showing there's some light going through the paper and cast on here. Okay, that's good. Now we come in to this area, I'm going to take a look at the edge. I'm going to give a little definitions, a little bit suggested. Now you see it's very easy to create small definitions after you have the big relationship. Over here, a little bit darker, like that. It's not as dark as the shadow side. Just turn into this side, like that. And I decided to make the bottom over here much lighter. Clean this up a little bit. Good. And now we're almost there. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little bit, drawing a little bit gap at the bottom, because between the paper tower, the paper roll and the table, it has some gap. Over here, it also have a little bit darker here too. But don't overdo it. Enough suggestion is good enough. So I'm going to soften that. This is good. Now I'm going to look into the details over here. Now I come back to, let's see. I'm going to give a little dot for the texture. So if I use the charcoal pencil, the color may be too dark. So I'm going to use the blending stone. Give it a little suggestion, a little bit. Like that. Good enough. So always start from big and then gradually going into define the small details. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little few more, but those details is very subtle. Okay, does not really stand out as is the focal point objects. And now what I want to do, I'm going to use give it a little light, because those actually have one side a little lighter, one side a little bit darker. So let's give it a little suggestion. Make this nitty eraser a really sharp edge. Let's give it a little suggestion for the texture. Give it a little more. Okay, I decided that I'm going to stop, and that's good enough for some suggestion. Now I'm going to look into here. Do I see a little bit very soft reflected light? So I'm going to use the nitty eraser to take out some very soft. You see how easy to actually create all the illusion by using a proper drawing process. Very easy to do that. First start from big shape and then smaller and smaller, and then go into the texture. Now we're gonna look up to the top over here. This can be a little cleaner. So the drawing process is very important. So you don't want to reverse it and then you're feeling a little overwhelmed. Start one layer at a time. Okay. Now we're coming to the top over here. Oh, I need to give a little detail over here. See this line? I can see that this is the cylinder. That is because of the cardboard as the cylinder is a little dark. Okay, a little sharp. Okay, that's good. And now we can see on the top over here, I didn't want to give a little texture. And depends, you don't have to give all the texture that you see. I'm going to go with the direction of the paper motion. And I'll also make the outside over here a little solid by using the blending stump, so I create a better contrast. Now I come back over here, I do see a little bit paper, actually a little bit tissues come out. I want to give it a little bit, move a little light over here, give a little suggestion. Okay, a little bit light over here. So those are small details. A little bit over here. Now it's called the last step that you're going into to give a little bit more definitions. Those are the small details. You would not actually do that or looking at them and notice them at the beginning. Okay, now I'm going to squinting my eye to take a look at, compare to all the relationship. And now this the top, it's a little bit darker than this side, this triangle. I can see now I want to give it a little bit darker. Not really a lot darker, a little bit darker, because it's not as light as these two areas. Okay, that's good. Squint your eye so you can see the relationship. And over here, I want to let go some of these details. Now you can see this drawing process is introduced and concept of shapes. Now we see that is compare. This is a triangle-like shape over here, and this is the shadow side. Connect with the catch the shadow area, which has less light than those area. Okay. So you see the top over here, also see that as two shapes within the oval shape. That is, one is the darker shape, and one is the lighter shape. I can see that is the center line need to move back a little bit to the left side, like that.